Hello, friends. I've got the great Christian Finnegan joining me for today's conversation. No headlines, no clip show today, and no show tomorrow or hangout tonight because I am taking the next few days to try to understand what the hell my life is about now that my daughter Julia and my ex-wife have left the country. That's right. I've moved back into the house about a month ago and lived here with them. But now it's time for Julia to go to college. She's going to the University of Amsterdam. My ex-wife Valerie is going to live in Florence. And I am going to live here in the house in Rockland County, New York. So it's a huge transition for so many obvious reasons. And it's a time of a little bit of mourning and loss for me, not for my daughter. So excited for her every time I get sad for myself. I pivot to thinking about how excited I am for both my girls who are going to be living in Europe. They're both EU citizens. It's so exciting for them. And I'll find time and make a plan to see them. And I appreciate all of your support and friendship. This is a good thing. It really is. And many of you have done it before me. Not exactly in the same situation. It never is. But I appreciate your insight, your advice, friendship, and this week, your patience, as I'm not able to keep up with the normal format of the show for all that I have to do to help them get out of here. And seriously, and I rarely say this, but emotionally, it's too much to be able to try to come on here and cover the news and do all the things that are required with the focus required to deliver it at the quality that I hope it's at. So that is my confessional. That is my news. That is today's opening. Now it's time to get to Christian Finnegan. He is one of my favorite comedians. He is one of my favorite people. I always enjoy his perspective on everything, no matter what we are talking about. We talk about several different issues today and had a few very good laughs, as we always do. Christian is on Substack, where he writes about music. And if you're an old like me, I'm 50. New music for olds.substack.com is the place to go. Go subscribe. Get a paid subscription to support Christian. I want to thank him for his appearance here. You can Venmo him. He's a regular here on the show. And you can see him live. Christian Finnegan. Buy his albums. Support him. Follow him on Blue Sky. Laugh along with us. Here we go. Christian Finnegan returns. Been way too long. Very happy to see you. Been on the road, but he's back. It's great to see you.
It's wonderful to see you, Peter. It's been too long.
Do we find you in Queens, New York?
You found me. Yes, you have discovered me in Queens, New York. Yes, I am in my still unpainted office. Our apartment is coming along, but it's a slow-going process. Just
exciting.
Very exciting. My wife's niece, which I guess makes her my niece. I just never think of it like that. My wife's niece and her boyfriend are coming to stay with us today. And so we've been, you know how it is when you got people coming to visit, all of a sudden you like see your home and you're like, oh yeah, you should probably.
It is a weird thing. How old is the girl, the niece?
Like 23 or 24 or something.
Yeah. So that age, it's a weird thing. If it's in any way, I guess it's probably not new. She's always been your niece for.
Yeah. I don't really know her.
Call you because I don't call my aunts. I call my Aunt Julie, but I don't. She refers to him as Uncle Dan, but I just call him Dan.
She refers to me as my lord.
Oh, that's interesting. Why did you say?
Because she's a commoner. If she was a highborn lady, then she would say my lord. But since she's a commoner, she refers.
Where does she stay? Being a commoner when she's staying in your place, right?
With the hunting dogs, we have a steel crate down in the lower levels of our home, and yes, like Reek. Did you watch Game of Thrones?
No, but that's reference, and I'm the only one. And the only person.
You're the only person.
As I look for new things to occupy my time and space because my family's abandoned me, I think maybe if I am thinking more television would be the answer. Obviously, that's a show I would like to watch. I'm very excited also for this Ted Lasso, which premiered, and I bet you're the kind of hipster that shits on it.
I don't like that you front-loaded that setup by... Now I feel like if I say that I don't like Ted Lasso, that is labeling me as being an elitist, when maybe I don't like Ted Lasso because it's just cloying garbage.
Well, it's true that you also don't like anything that is, quote, feel good.
I like things that are feel good that are earned. I don't like unearned feel good. I enjoyed the first season of Ted Lasso, and I even watched a few episodes into the second season. I think so. You've watched it thus far.
Yeah, I watched all three. Is it three?
It was that Christmas episode that was like, nope, I'm done. That one where they go singing at the end. It was just that was when
why was that so deeply offensive?
Because it felt smarmy and like completely untrue to the characters. The owner lady. Now, granted, if you haven't watched Ted Lasso, this is going to mean nothing to you. But the Waddingham, whatever her name, the woman who plays the team owner, Hannah Waddingham, who I quite like in like interviews and stuff. But all of a sudden, she's like, oh, she's secretly been this wonderful Samaritan behind the scenes. I didn't buy it. And also, I don't like when an actor has a skill and they clearly work it into the show and all of a sudden the character has the skill. Do you know what I mean? It's like, oh, apparently this rich, aloof, snobby, uptight rich lady is an amazing singer. Like, who knew? You know, like it was like when Dana Carvey would find reasons to have himself be drumming and everything. It's like, yeah, okay, we get it, Dana.
I love your criticism or shitting on anything that's popular. I so enjoy it. It really is. It's entertaining to me. Whenever you do it, I do it. And I love it. And it doesn't in any way upset me. And I fake argue and just try to get you triggered.
I know. Don't even get me started on Noah Kahan. That really bummed you out.
Yeah, that's right. I must have been upset. I'm reliving the disappointment. No, but I did watch a show on Netflix that my daughter's like, I just binged it. I couldn't turn it off. It was, I think it's called I Will Find You with that Australian actor, Sam Worthington, who I love. And I watch a show like that, a detective show or a thriller show or like that. And I do have similar criticisms of those types of shows because they seem really unrealistic or the plot is ridiculous. This kid was in that one, just real quick, their kid goes missing. No spoilers, but the kid has a birthmark on his face.
Seems like a pretty easy and a good. Seems like a lead to me.
I was like, wait a second. This missing kid has a very identifiable birthmark on his face.
Is the child played by Mikhail Gorbachev?
Yes. Is that your only birthmark reference?
Facial birthmark? There's a comedian, Chloe Radcliffe. She talks about it on stage. So I'm not telling you, but I'm trying to think of like who else I know that has a prominent facial birthmark. I don't know.
The live chat.
Mike Tyson. Was that that birthmark? Is it Mike Tyson?
I think he's got a tattoo. Well,
tattoo. Okay.
Great to see you and catch up with you and hear your review on anything. I do want to ask you about this Irish singer-songwriter who died in a motorcycle accident, I think at age 56. I figured you would have a lot to say about him, so I went on over to Blue Sky, and you had some very thoughtful things to commemorate his work, his life, the type of guy he was. And even if you're not familiar with music or don't care, you want to feel good in real life, watch how the Irish mourned his death or any death. It was very interesting to watch. I, of course, another person that everybody knew of but me until they died.
You'd never seen once or heard that song "Falling Slowly." That was kind of it's
not like a show for like effeminate men or women or gay.
It's a movie and not a show. And
I watch stuff with.
In your opinion, movies need to be fast and or furious. They need to be one or the two.
Or fighting.
You only movies that are about combat that is mortal in nature.
I like a certain style of fighting, like a Bourne Identity or a Reacher style fighting. I like a shirtless man, obviously.
How has there not been a porno named Reach Arounder yet? Seems like a real...
How has no one laughed at the fact that I put Reacher on my luggage bag tag, I use it for my name for my coffee or fast food order, and they yell out Reacher, and no one ever laughs.
It's because they're too busy rolling their eyes. Reacher.
I miss talking to you. I miss speaking with you. I miss bantering. I miss you.
I know. To think that you just go all these weeks with like a perfectly intact self-esteem and you have nobody to diminish that in any way and to knock you down.
Those jokes, your jokes almost never actually hurt my feelings. They always hurt a little tiny bit, but I'm a comic or was, and I certainly am slightly retired. I know the rules, and funny is funny. And,
funny, funny. And also, it's like you'd rather somebody be making fun of you than not talking about you.
I like that too. And I was just going to say, my daughter and I make fun of each other in front of my parents, in front of her coworkers she takes shots at me. She'll bring it up. Like if I didn't do something in the moment, she'll be like, oh my God, you should have seen what dad did. He buys his coffee and just tells a story, and it's embarrassing to me. She gets a laugh. I'm laughing, or I get like slightly defensive. Like, that's not exactly how it happened. I hit her back, and it's a big part of our relationship. And other people don't like it. Like, you guys are mean. I'm like, we are entertaining each other at least.
Yeah. You can't explain to somebody banter. You can't, like, if you're not the kind of person who sort of has sort of gibbery with somebody, like if you're not the kind of person that sort of communicates in insult as a form of love, then when you see people doing it, you don't understand what it is you're watching, and it just seems mean. It's like, no, don't you understand that I am incapable of expressing positive? I'm not saying like love, but it's like that feels corny or silly or whatever. But by trying to insult you in a way that feels particular and specific, that is showing you that I'm paying attention to who you are and that I know you. You know what I mean? It's like it's an acknowledgement of knowing someone, of intimacy.
I absolutely agree with that. Although I think you're more like that, in that you're more likely to show your care and respect for a person, i.e. me, by the gentle or even harsh ribbing. I'll take it all, because I appreciate that, because you're acknowledging my existence. You know I'm going to laugh. You appreciate that about me. But you then don't follow that up with a nice note or comment about how much our friendship means to me. I try to do both.
No, you're right. And I feel bad about that. I do feel bad. Like, I sometimes have to remind myself, like when I talk to people who I've known forever, and just be like, hey man, I do love you, you are, but even like saying that, even like there's something in me that recoils, even just saying it as if I was saying it.
It depends on the relationship too. Like it depends. It's one thing if you're in a romantic, you're married, a partner. It's another thing. It's a friend. Another thing if it's a kid. And with my daughter and I, we go back and forth. But I tell her in all the ways, and show her in every love language I could possibly find the way I feel about her. And but also just going to make one more comment about it, which is when someone can take a joke about them, it shows a sense of confidence that they have in at least in that lane, in that way. Always, to me, I certainly have found that in my life.
Yeah, for sure. 100%. That to be offended when somebody makes a joke about you, especially when that's good and specific to you. That's not just a general joke like, hey, you're stupid, you're fat, or whatever. Like when somebody nails you particularly, that to me, like when somebody does that to me, it feels like, oh, you've been paying attention to me. Like you care,
Yes.
You care enough to insult me, and not just, oh, wow. I mean, that's maybe a little,
that's also
silly,
a specific thing. Like when it's a specific insult or criticism or note, it also shows they know you. You do this all the time.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, exactly. It's a familiarity to it. There's and it's funny. It dovetails actually quite nicely with the talking about the Irish spirit, because that is definitely a very Irish thing. It means British to, the taking the piss, so to speak. But I find that that's one of the things I do love about Irish culture. And I never grew up thinking of myself as being particularly Irish. I tend to resist things of like, oh, you are this nationality and therefore you have these personality traits. But I will say, like, just being in Ireland a little bit, there is a joyful cutting down of pretentiousness. Do you know what I mean? Like there's a deflation of ego that is very appealing.
And that's why it would be so important for people in power, of any position of power, to make sure that's part of who they are. I mean, I always felt that way at Sirius. Like, the guys I worked with took the piss out of me on air, off the air, anywhere they could, because I felt like it was an equalizer and it created a better relationship for each other. I think that would be true of a lot of people who are in positions of power or leadership, to have better sense of humor about themselves. So when we talk about people running for office, you can tell who can take the joke and who can't.
Yes. Yeah. And you'll see people who they'll kind of almost try to corral you. They'll be self-deprecating, but in a way that redounds to them still looking good. Do you know what I mean? That it's like, me, I'm such a perfectionist, or, like I me, I work too hard, like there are all these things like, okay,
I'm always on time.
Yeah. But Glenn Hansard, is a dude who I was a big fan of for quite a long time. And obviously his passing, one of the things about Glenn Hansard is that he's, as you might have picked up, he was a busker. You know, he hung out in Trinity Square, I think, in Dublin, and he was a sidewalk performer. Even after he'd been in like The Commitments, like he was in that movie The Commitments back in the 90s and all that. But as a result, he had just a sort of a comfortability with just people. Just, you know, he had an ability to just chat and be a sort of a bon vivant, and he seemed to perform everywhere. Like he was the kind of guy who, like, hand him a guitar and he'll just sing a song. You know, it's again a very Irish thing. But as a result, there's just like social media has been filled with a bazillion different sort of random performances, either live concerts or him just at somebody's house, you know, or at a bar in Dublin, just playing for the 8 people who are sitting there. And so it was a very social media friendly death in the sense that there was just a lot of content to go around. Now, I will say, and I feel this is a little odd, it was disappointing to me on some level, but I feel like I have to acknowledge it, is that Nico Case, who is a songwriter who I adore and a producer as well, she was in a band called the New Pornographers for a long time, and she has probably 8 or 9 solo records, very respected person. She kind of came out afterwards and be like, everybody's celebrating this guy. He was kind of a piece of shit, that I guess he had kind of disrespected her a couple times over the years in ways that made her feel like nothing that like sexual assault or anything like that, but like that he tried to like basically hook her up with his bassist or something. And that it was just that she was basically saying like, everybody's praising this guy and I knew him and he wasn't as good. You know, and I don't know that any of that's true or not, but it did make me be like, all right, are we all just kind of like, he's a guy who everybody loves, and am I doing the dude thing right now? Do you know what I mean? Am I doing the thing of like, hey, he entertained me, so nothing else matters? I don't know. But I did feel, you know, something in me says that I need to at least acknowledge that, because I respect her quite a bit, and I want to be the kind of person who doesn't immediately dismiss.
You mentioned that because I haven't said anything publicly. I didn't see the need to, but it's more of a question. I don't mind doing it now, because it's more of a question of like, should you say something about someone when they die? And you and I have talked about this before. And obviously Lindsey Graham is not Glenn Hansard. Neither is this guy. Was named Vinny Pastore, just died. He played Big Pussy in The Sopranos. I worked with him at SiriusXM, and I was in the studio with him a bunch of times, and he was a dick to everybody, all his producers. He was just not a good guy, not even to the guys that we were on air with, paid nobody any respect. He was like, we really did not like that guy. I didn't say anything publicly, but my friend sent the text to like 16 of us in high school, you know, like, oh, this is sad. And it would have looked like shitty of me with him. And I didn't say anything.
You're right. It's just let people have their feelings.
And I wouldn't have ever said anything if you didn't bring up, like, we could all say probably something bad about an interaction or an experience, or in my case.
To me, the slight, if there is a difference, it's just like when you get into gender dynamics and power dynamics and again, it's like, I don't want to be the person who's just like.
And was Big Pussy.
Oh yeah, with Vincent Pastore, exactly.
You're right about gender and power dynamics and being very sensitive to that. I think that's something that we can do.
I at least want to start from a place of not dismissing someone. Like I don't think I have to say like because a woman said something about a guy that I like, that I immediately have to just 100% dismiss this person who I cared about because a woman says a thing. But I at least want to start from a place of taking that seriously and just the acknowledgement of, like you were saying, that like people's lives are complicated and nobody is all one thing, and provided that you haven't done anything that is like legally actionable or genuinely injurious to someone's person or
really morally corrosive or corrupt.
Yeah, you know, but to a certain degree,
fashion, like everybody's treated. Like I'm always wary of somebody coming out. Just think of any of your friends who got divorced or broke up or anything, and you hear both sides. Both people can make the other person sound pretty shitty if they wanted, if you didn't hear from the other person. So I'm always wary of that. And I'm not saying.
Yeah, no, I agree. I never really, again, other than something that is sort of illegal or, you know, really repugnant, I never judge somebody by how they acted in a relationship to a degree, because none of us have been at our best.
That's for damn sure.
All the time.
So when I said Big Pussy died, It's the great thing about the live chat, and we got a lot of funny listeners to this show I'm so proud of. But one of the funniest guys, should give him his due right now, Benny Alexander. In the live chat, he wrote, Vinny Pastore dying messed up my Google search for a few days.
That's very funny.
Constantly searching for big pussy. All right. Let me ask you about
that's probably got to be a fetish for certain people, right? Just like the largest vaginas possible. Like, I just need, for me to get aroused, I need a cavernous, just giant.
Well, I think it's more about like the curtains.
The labia. I see. Okay. The labial outlay, so to speak.
Yeah. I'm like into like labia that is shaped like a man's penis.
That was well delivered.
What about you? Is that gay?
Me?
Gay?
Not gay, as long as you don't like it.
I love it.
Well, that's pretty gay then.
I love how anytime, by the way, it's still an insult to be gay for a huge percentage of people, men, especially in America. They're still saying that people are gay as if it's pejorative or they're less than masculine in any ways. You're seeing James Tellerico get this. You and I have gotten this throughout our careers. You a lot more than me, but me just because they think it hurts because I'm so masculine. But it's always the person telling on themselves, and I always feel like that person who's uncomfortable with it is the most likely to have more tendencies.
I think that the person who is uptight about it is certainly likely to just have more sexual hand grenades, like, or like red tripwires, like a person who's super insecure about the idea of being gay or whatever is going to be a rotten lay, I imagine. You know what I mean? Like,
I never really thought about that, but why? Because
you're so on guard of not wanting to do anything that feels feminine or not dominant or whatever, that it's like, yeah, there might be times where, we've all had sexual partners of our life, and you're not always the same person with different partners, and you're not always the same person with the same partner, depending on what the mood is that particular session. Yeah. Or whatever. I'm saying is like, there might be times where being 100% dominant and being 100% quote unquote masculine is called for and appreciated by your partner, but it's not 100% of the time. And anybody who is that wrapped up in not seeming gay in any way, shape, or form is, I just imagine, going to be closed off in a way that makes them a bad partner sexually or romantically. Or
we'll have to ask people. We'll have to ask people what they think about it that have had that experience with that type of guy, especially. Let me ask you, though, specifically, I want to ask you when it gets to gender and sex and power. I just got to ask.
I am wearing a butt plug right now, I should mention. But
and I have the control to it. But yeah. I just pressed the button.
Okay.
By the way, speaking of that exact same reaction, I just installed a bidet.
Oh, good for you! Congratulations! I'm surprised. It's in thing is the problem is it's in your office chair. It's not even in the toilet. It's just right there. Yeah. I will say, I don't know. We're telling secrets. There was a 3-year period when I was a child where I lived in a house that had a jacuzzi in it, and this when I was like 12, 13, like first in that.
And you would shoot that jet right up your asshole.
I absolutely would. And it was an awakening. It was an awakening.
Seen it or for
joy. Yeah. I was just like, what is this? But
yeah. I used to have sex with the bathtub faucet spray when it would come. Like I would.
Okay.
Rail the water.
The bathtub faucet. You're fucking.
So, yeah, my mom, I'll never forget, said that sure was a long bath. Never forget. I was so embarrassed. Like, so mean.
I'll never forget that I read an article once about bodybuilders and steroids, and some dude was so roided out that there's just a scene in this article of him fucking the change slot of a soda machine.
Jesus Christ.
And I don't know what led up to that.
Change comes out, not the slot.
I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I just imagine somebody just grabbing a machine like, Rrr!
Nothing wrong with grabbing a machine and treating it like a lady. But I don't know why you would, but I will say I'm going to work the fact that I installed a bidet, or that I have one, into every conversation I have for the next 10 days. I think conversation starter. So
I'm having a bidet. I mean, a good day. Bidet, mate. That's what you can say.
I hated that. I like that. So Max Miller is a Republican congressman who's been accused of way worse things by several women, including his ex-wife and MAGA Stephanie Grisham, former Trumpy spokesman. And like, it's so bad, including that he did terrible things to his own daughter. And I don't know if you paid attention to that mess, but man, the fact that he is still in office and hasn't dropped out yet. And then you consider the Swalwells and the Plattners and what the Democratic electorate, and I hate to make it such a binary, but there are kind of two types of people, it would seem, in the world. Do you think I'm wrong about that?
No, not at all. I mean, and again, it's one of these things where it always ends up fucking Democrats, but it's the way it needs to be. You know, it's like, I don't want to be in a party that is comfortable not kicking those people out. You know what I mean? And Plattner, we talked about Plattner, I think it's been since, I don't know that we've spoken since Plattner dropped out. I think it's
I don't think so.
that long. But as I think I said back then, he's a court holder, and that made me nervous, that he's a guy who clearly likes to hear himself talk, and is the kind of person who, like, in a bar is probably the dude who's talking 80% of the time and louder than everybody else. And that type of person is a worrisome archetype for me in terms of just what else they're going to do. Like, you know, those type of people worry me. They frighten me on some level, especially when it's like aggro dude. Now, granted, I would have voted for him. When I heard him talk about like social issues, he was able to do it in a way that seemed like, when you talk about trans issues and stuff, I was like, yeah, man, this dude fucking gets it. Like that's why it's disappointing. But it's like, when all this stuff came out, it's all over but the shouting. Like, he's got to go. Like, there's no question about it. Like,
but not the case for Republicans. This morning, Mike Johnson said that he's standing behind Max Miller, the Speaker of the House, standing behind this guy.
Well, because it's about more than that. Because the not doing that, and I guess that's what I'm saying, is like, it would be unfathomable for a Democrat to stay in the race past a certain point of no return. Whereas quitting is just as anathema to Republicans. It's like, no, double down always. I refuse to back down, even in the face of, like, the not quitting is almost part of the show. You know, not only did I fuck up, I didn't, first of all, I don't acknowledge that I fucked up, but not only is there the scandal around me, you can't do anything about it. And my staying is my big middle finger to all of you.
I know it's hacked.
It doesn't surprise me at all.
I know it's hacked to even bring up, but it should probably always be brought up that those defending Max Miller, from Mike Johnson on down, profess to be pious, religious, Christian. They talk about their religion all the time.
And meaningless. Yeah, it's completely, it shifts depending on the circumstances. There's no consistency to it. It's like trying to hold on to an eel. There's no fixed morality. It's whatever I need it to be in this moment to establish dominance. If my being pious and God-loving and quoting the words of Jesus allows me to establish dominance over you, then that's what I'll do. If me completely going the opposite direction and denying the teachings of Jesus and being a scumbag, I will just redefine what Jesus is to be who I need him to be in this moment. Oh, Jesus wasn't, people talk about Jesus was a pussy, no, Jesus was a man's man and he flipped over the tables of the temple. Like, they'll just adjust their conception of what Jesus is and what the Bible says to whatever they need in that given moment. And so, like, trying to nail them in hypocrisy is just, it's a fool's errand. Like,
homosexuality is against, you pick the obvious ones because these are the ones they legislate on. Homosexuality, I'm against. Abortion, I'm against. But I'm okay with this. They know what he did. They know what the allegations are.
First of all, I had never actually even heard him speak out loud until his video that he put out a couple days ago.
Max Miller, the congressman.
Yeah. And the minute he started talking, I was like, guilty. This is just me reading the guy, but it's like, oh yeah, this dude's a fucking abusive piece of shit. Like, you could tell, not that I didn't Not that I questioned that beforehand, but the minute he started his whole persona, I was like, oh, I know exactly who you are. And what's crazy also about the Stephanie Grisham and the marriage and the kid, it's all like over the course of the past like 3 or 4 years. It's not even like, I don't know how people have time to be this shitty in such a confined period of time. Like it's honestly, it makes me feel unproductive.
I see what you're saying. He's abused that many women in that short of a period of time. Suggests, by the way, that there are others in the past that don't want to speak out.
I guarantee you. Or, some woman at a bar that he treated like shit or whatever who didn't even know his name. Like, I guarantee this dude has a long line of women and probably men too that he's been shitty towards over the years. Like, but again, that's not a character flaw to this iteration of conservatives in America. That's a bonus.
Exactly. All right. I talked about a bunch of things I wasn't planning to and already too long, but I do have to ask you before you leave. It's been 51 days since we saw Mitch McConnell. During that time, Lindsey Graham died, and we hadn't spoken. But
I just hung out with him last week.
Which?
Mitch McConnell.
You just saw Mitch McConnell?
Yeah, played laser tag. We're in a league. What can I tell you?
You're in a laser tag league?
I'm in a laser tag league with Mitch McConnell. Yeah.
Isn't there a better technology yet than laser tag?
I'm not even supposed to tell you because it's
Have you heard of paintball?
Kind of like Fight Club. It's like we're not supposed to talk about laser club.
Wow. Well, how did he seem at laser tag?
I mean, his dodging speed was reduced slightly. Usually he does a lot of like barrel rolls and like he'll,
It's very evasive.
Yeah. I mean, he's slowing down a bit, but my man can shoot a laser.
All right. All right, then. There you go. That's the response we were looking.
Yeah, I mean, there was all this hubbub last week. Andy Bashir was saying, like, I need basically proof of life, or we're gonna, he needs to resign. And I don't, doesn't seem like anything's moving on that. I don't.
It's the first time I've seen a congressional Capitol Hill reporter dogging a chief of staff down the hallway, and there's got to be a lot more of that. I mean,
and especially nowadays where it seems like with an increasing number of representatives, senators, and reps, that those are the people who are actually the power behind the throne, like Dianne Feinstein's chief, all these people. And you wonder why these politicians don't retire. And it's not just the numbers. It's not just about who gets the gavel and all that. It's also that these staffers, it's like they're the power behind the throne anyway. It's like, I'm not, it's Dianne Feinstein's staff, who, in my opinion, should never work in politics again in any way, shape, or form.
How can you never follow up on the names of these people who are involved that somehow seemingly get away with it? How come their credibility isn't necessarally destroyed? People are saying
because I figure they've all worked together. Like every staffer has dealt with every other, and there's probably like an honor among thieves. Kind of it's inappropriate. But yeah, to me, every person who works for Mitch McConnell and Dianne Feinstein and any of the people who have. If
you're looking for an important quality in a chief of staff, you're a congressional representative at any level, loyalty might be something that you care a lot about.
But I'm saying, is it loyalty, or is it loyalty to themselves? Is it loyalty to their own status and power within Washington?
I want you to be so loyal to me that if I was dead, you wouldn't tell anybody. That's how loyal I want you to be. Or if I do any other number of things that are unsavory, I don't want you to tell anybody.
If I die, I want you to bring my body to like a burning building or something, and then like release kittens, like have my corpse kind of be like but I want it to look like I died saving people. So if I die in the toilet or whatever,
I would worry about the kittens dying too. And that I would do it otherwise. What if the kittens actually die? Doesn't seem worth it to me.
I feel like you could get, there's Hollywood producers. They can make this happen.
Yeah,
that would be a new field of event planning, of like just restage deaths to make you look more heroic.
Good Samaritan death sounds like an honorable way to go out. Yeah, for sure. I can see that happening to you for sure.
But yeah, I don't know. I figure literally 20 minutes after the deadline to have a special election, we're going to hear knowing nothing more than anybody.
Sorry,
my suspicion is that
I didn't really in Kentucky. Yeah, I didn't.
Yeah, there's a deadline. Basically, that's what they've been saying. The holdup has been is that if he were to die or be ruled incapacitated before, I think it was August 3rd, I think it was like yesterday, that they would have to have a special election, and they were worried about Thomas Massey potentially running and for that lame duck seat. But then after a certain date, I think it was August 3rd, whatever the date is, then they don't have to fill it until November. And so I think that was what they were saying the game was. And so I figure the minute they cross that threshold, they're going to be like, oh, yeah, by the way, Mitch McConnell was totally great up until this morning. And then he passed away.
Benny Alexander now says in the live chat, I honestly think McConnell had a huge stroke. Benny, who cares what you think?
No, I agree with him. I think he's incapacitated. I think he's physically alive.
Who cares what anyone thinks about what happened to him? I love how we're all... No, I do care. It's probably
we're trying to read the tea leaves. Well, because there were people, I don't know if it was Mike Johnson, but a couple people who came out and said, well, I spoke to Mitch McConnell this morning, and we spoke for, I spoke to Mitch McConnell for 20 minutes, and I was going to be like, did he speak back?
Yeah, exactly.
Were you literally speaking?
Was he just slurring?
Yeah, but I think people phrase it that way for plausible deniability. Like, hey, I spoke to Mitch McConnell this morning, so I'm not technically lying.
The arrogant Bill B in DC is watching because he's a big fan of yours. He says, reality check. McConnell staffers won't have a problem getting new jobs. That's how he sounds in my head.
Oh, I know. I'm sure they won't. In fact, like you said, I'm sure it'll be a badge of pride.
And look, Dr. Will Judy says Mitch is a puddle of goo right now. At least he's a doctor, Benny.
Oh, wow. Yeah. It's a medical condition.
EOG.
Pile of goo. Pile of goo.
Christian Finnegan, I always love getting your perspective. I always love talking to you. Thank you so much for joining me today. Really appreciate it. Any plugs?
Just the ones that will assuming going into your head.
Oh, thank you. That is very kind. Someone's gifting me.
No, not really any good plugs. I'm at Gotham Comedy Club on Friday night if you're in the city.
All right. There you go. Check them out. Go subscribe to New Music for Olds. And I'll say all those things after I'm done recording. Thank you to everybody who watched live. I really appreciate it. We appreciate it. And you guys are funny in the chat.
I do love you, even despite your terrible personality.
I appreciate it. So you couldn't do it.
I couldn't do it.
I thought it was going to end on that. And then here comes a despite. And I'm like, oh, this is going to hurt. And it was, in
spite of you, I love you.
It was your personality. Like, only meaner would be character or face or body.
I mean, why choose one?
Thank you, buddy. I love you.
Bye.
Sincerely. And bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, there he goes, Christian Finnegan, and there I go. Be by the grace of God. How does that phrase go? I don't use it, but gonna need it. Gonna need your support, your friendship, your trust, your advice, your insight over the next few days. Send whatever you would like, and I will do my best to absorb it. Thank you so much for your support. Somebody yesterday told me they've been listening to the show since my daughters were born, and now look at them. They're flying away, and I'm so happy for them. Okay. All right. That's it. That's all. I'll talk to you later. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Go to see John Carroll on the 11th in Northampton, Massachusetts, where he's got an album release party. Go stream his album at johncarroll.org, and I will talk to you on Monday for sure.